Solomon Ash came along in the 1950s, and like this room we have, this masjid, he had a room, he had an experiment. And what he did was, he called along 10 people. Out of the 10 people, one of them was a genuine volunteer, a genuine person. And out of the 10, one of them was genuine, the rest 9 were imposters, they were actually on his side. And inside the test, what did he do? He made everybody sit down, and with a piece of paper, he had a piece of paper, he drew one line on this side, line A, labeled as line A, and then on this side, directly adjacent to it, he would draw maybe 3-4 lines. And he would ask those people, the panelists sitting there, he would say to them, according to your understanding, tell me which line matches with the line that we have drawn on this side. Is it so? This is line A, there's line B, C, D, or E equal the exact same length as line A which has been drawn here. So he'll ask them, and then he'll say to them, give us your answer verbally, loudly, so everyone can hear. So number 1, you got to remember, from number 1 to number 9, every single one of them are on his side. And the last one, Bichara Sufi Sahab on the 10th chair, he's sitting there, tasbih in hand, thinking, I'm here, I've got to please the government, British values, so I've got to sit here and let's get this test done so that I get a pat on the shoulder later on by the government for being chamcha, like our respected Qari Asim Sahab in Leeds. So what happened? First person, by purpose, he looks at the line, and because, now for sake of argument, hypothetically, line B is exactly the same as line A. So it's the first line, the first letter B that is exactly the same. But this person, number 1, what does he do? He turns around and he says it's line D that is exactly the same. Now this line is like from the top of the page to the bottom, and the only line that fits that is line B, but he's chosen line D, which is only a few centimeters long. So he looks at him thinking, is his brain in the right place? So next person, he says, what's your answer? He says the same answer as number 1. Goes on to the third person, same answer. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, every single one of them give the same answer to each other. When he gets to the 10th person looks at it, he knows that it is line B. But what does he do? He chooses line D. Then another experiment, 5, 6 experiments. And the conclusion, what conclusion did they reach to? Solomon Ash, by the way, he's a Jewish, Polish immigrant, and he was an expert in social psychology. He came to the conclusion that out of all these tests, 75% of the time, the individual, the guinea pig in the room, he would always give the wrong answer based upon social pressure of those individuals inside them. Now you might be thinking, what the hell has this got to do with what we're explaining? I'll explain to you right now. I'm going to do the test called Standard Iqbal Conformity Line Test. Same rules. The difference is, you're all sitting there, you have Boris Johnson, the government on top of you, and you have your, behind the door, there's a glass, and you can see your wife, you can see your children, and you can see your loved ones, you can see your business, you can see your bank balance. And now I put the question to you. What is the question? The question is, Israel has from day one belonged to the Jews. There's no such thing as Palestine. Now because candidate number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to say Israel belongs to the Jews, because of the pressure, because of my family member waving to me from the window, my beloved daughters waving to me from the window, because my job is at stake, because I will be labeled as an extremist, because I will be labeled as somebody who does not appreciate British values in the country, what answer will I give? The answer I will give is, because of the lack of Iman, I will say, yes, Ustaji, Israel belongs to the Jews, and Palestine is no such thing. Have you understood where I'm coming to, my brothers? How many, and I'm not talking about the general public, how many scholars as well, we don't like saying this, but this is the reality. How many have fallen into this test without even realizing? Solomon Ash turned around and he said to the public and to those his peers, he said, you will be shocked and amazed to know that people are ready to disbelieve their eyes on the basis of those people who are inside that room with them. And then what did he say? Going further, he said, there's certain side effects that can change the results of what is being presented. And what are the side effects? He said, if there's an influential, knowledgeable, powerful man inside the room, or a group of men inside the room, then the individual who is the guinea pig, he will not hesitate to give the same answer as anybody else. Let me twist it slightly. So you're there, you're the Sufi Sahib sitting there. Verse number 1 says, jihad equals terrorism. Terrorism is jihad. Supporting jihad anywhere around the world equals you are a terrorist. Number 1 says this, number 2 says this, number 3 says this, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9. Now ask yourself, am I going to say the same answer as the rest 9? Or am I going to fear Allah? Am I going to remember the day of judgment? Am I going to look towards the reward in the akhirah? Am I going to look towards the hadith which the Messenger of Allah said, Tuba lil ghuraba. Jannah is destined for the strangers. Those who live in communities filled with evil vices, but they stick to what is pleasing to Allah. Which one are you going to choose? Which one are you going to choose? Does jihad equal terrorism? Does jihad equal extremism? Does it mean you cannot talk about jihad? You cannot talk about the rulings of jihad? Does this make you a terrorist? What answer will you give? If you ask me, I will turn around and give all a slap on the back of the head of the rest 9, and then I will say the answer is jihad has nothing to do with terrorism. It has nothing to do with whatever you are saying. Jihad is a beautiful sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My brothers, but ask yourself, bring Chairman Sahib in that position, bring your local Mulvi Sahib, bring your Sufi Sahib, bring your Pir Sahib. Is he going to be able to stand the test of conformity, or is he going to give in and break because of the pressure that he's facing from the circumstances that he's under? That is why, my brothers, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he say? Tuba lil ghuraba. There are tidings for these people. What does Tuba mean? Tuba is from the word tayyib. They will live a pure life in this dunya and they will have a pure life in the hereafter. Another explanation of Tuba means it is a large, humongous, enormous tree in Jannah, where if a traveler, if a horseman on horseback were to travel in the shade of that tree, it will take him 100, according to other narrations, 500 years just to complete the shade of that tree. Imagine how large this tree is. This tree is not for those who compel and fall into whatever the government is saying to them. And let's make it clear, we're not here to incite people to go against the government. What we're explaining and saying, my brothers, beautiful teachings of Islam has taught us, Ghuraba has taught us, wherever you are, if you were to pick a gharib, a stranger, and place him anywhere around the world, he will neither cause harm to his own society, but there is one thing which is factual, that is, he will stick to the teachings of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we want to be included amongst these people, then we have to follow the teachings of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Has everyone understood this? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability and tawfiq to understand this. I want to mention a few points.